The research vessel Helios drifted silently through the Carina Nebula, its sophisticated sensors probing the cosmic dust for signs of the anomalous energy signatures that had brought them 12 light-years from Earth. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at her station, dark eyes fixed on a holographic display that showed streams of data from their latest deep space scan. After 3 months of searching, the crew of 42 had started to lose hope of finding anything significant. Another negative reading on quantum signatures, Sarah announced to the bridge crew, trying to keep the disappointment from her voice. Whatever created those energy spikes we detected from Earth, it's either gone or... The ship's AI interrupted with an urgent tone. Alert. Detecting massive gravitational distortion at bearing 047 Mark 122. Distance, approximately 500,000 kilometers. Captain Maya Rodriguez straightened in her chair, her weathered face illuminated by the sudden shift in the holographic displays. Show me. The main view screen shifted, revealing a section of the nebula where space itself seemed to fold inward, creating a lens-like distortion in the fabric of reality. Colors from the surrounding gases twisted around its edges like water circling a drain. That's impossible, Dr. James Kumar, their lead physicist, muttered as he studied the readings. The energy required to maintain a spatial distortion of that magnitude would exceed the output of our entire solar system. Sarah's fingers flew across her console, recalibrating the sensors for a deeper analysis. Captain, I'm detecting organized patterns in the gravitational waves. This isn't a natural phenomenon. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had spent centuries searching for signs of advanced alien life, finding only ruins and remnants of long-dead civilizations. Now, less than 50 years after achieving faster-than-light travel, they might have stumbled upon something beyond their comprehension. Dr. Chen, prepare a probe for launch, Captain Rodriguez ordered. Let's see what we're dealing with before we get any closer. The probe never made it halfway to its target. As soon as it crossed an invisible threshold, the distortion expanded, enveloping the tiny machine in a flash of purple light. For a moment, the probe's telemetry showed readings that defied known physics, and then nothing. Captain, Sarah called out, her voice tight with controlled excitement. The probe's gone, but it transmitted something in its final seconds. There's a pattern in the data, like it was being scanned. And there's more. The distortion is changing. The phenomenon had indeed begun to shift, its swirling edges stabilizing into a more geometric pattern. As the crew watched in amazement, the space within the distortion cleared, revealing what appeared to be an artificial structure floating in the void. It was massive, easily 20 kilometers across, its surface covered in interlocking geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with internal light. We're being hailed, the communications officer announced, surprise evident in his voice. It's in English. Captain Rodriguez shared a look with her senior staff before nodding. Put it through. The voice that filled the bridge was neither mechanical nor organic, but something in between. Vessel of Earth, you have found us because you were meant to. We are the archivists, and you are the first to pass the initial test. This is Captain Maya Rodriguez of the Earth science vessel Helios, she responded, maintaining her composure despite the extraordinary situation. What test are you referring to? The test of observation, the voice replied. Among 10,000 species we have monitored, you are the first to detect our presence through the quantum irregularities we deliberately created. Your species possesses a unique combination of technological advancement and intuitive understanding that sets you apart. Sarah's console suddenly lit up with new data streams. Captain, they're transmitting something. The amount of information is staggering. We are the last of the first ones. The voice continued. We have watched your species evolve, adapt, and overcome challenges that destroyed countless others. Your biological plasticity, your capacity for abstract thought, and your ability to thrive in environments that should have been lethal. These qualities make you unique in our experience. Dr. Kumar interrupted, his scientific curiosity overwhelming protocol. "Are you saying you've been studying us? For how long?" "Since before your species learned to make fire," came the reply. "We have watched civilizations rise and fall across this galaxy for millions of your years. Most follow predictable patterns of development and eventual extinction. But humans are different. You break patterns. You survive what should destroy you. You imagine possibilities that should be beyond your comprehension." Captain Rodriguez leaned forward in her chair. "Why reveal yourselves to us now?" "Because we are dying," the voice said simply. "Our civilization has reached its natural end. We have lived for so long that entropy itself has become our enemy. But before we fade, we must pass on our knowledge, our history, our understanding of the universe. We have chosen humanity as our inheritors." The implications of this statement sent a wave of murmurs through the bridge crew. Sarah's hands trembled as she processed the incoming data. "Captain, what they're sending us, it's beyond anything we've ever seen. Theories of physics we haven't even conceived of, biological engineering that could eliminate disease, technology that could solve our energy crisis overnight. There is a price for this knowledge," the voice cautioned. "Other species will challenge your right to it. They will fear what you might become with our legacy in your hands. You must be prepared to defend yourselves, to prove yourselves worthy not just to possess this knowledge, but to use it wisely." Captain Rodriguez stood, her decision made. "We've faced challenges before. Humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and our own near destruction. Whatever tests lie ahead, we'll face them." "Yes," the voice agreed, a note of what might have been satisfaction in its tone. "That is precisely why you were chosen. Your ship will be the first to receive our gifts. Through you, we will begin the process of transferring our legacy to humanity. Are you prepared for what this means?" Sarah looked at her captain, seeing the same mix of fear and excitement she felt reflected in the older woman's eyes. This was humanity's moment. Everything they had dreamed of, everything they had worked toward, and everything they had never dared to imagine, all wrapped into one historic moment. "We are prepared," Captain Rodriguez declared, speaking not just for her crew, but for all of humanity. The structure began to pulse with increasing intensity, and new data streams flooded their systems. As Sarah worked to process and contain the incoming information, she realized that this was only the beginning. Humanity had not just made first contact, they had been chosen as the inheritors of a legacy beyond imagination. The real challenge would be proving they deserved it. In the hours that followed, as the Helios databases filled with knowledge that would transform human civilization, Sarah found herself returning to a single thought. Humanity had spent centuries looking up at the stars, wondering if they were alone. Now they knew not only that they weren't alone, but that they were special, unique in a way that even the oldest civilization in the galaxy recognized. The void between stars had never seemed less empty, nor the future more bright with possibility. As the first day of humanity's new era drew to a close, the crew of the Helios began the monumental task of preparing humanity for its new role in the galaxy. They were no longer just explorers or scientists. They were the bridge between the ancient past and the unlimited future, chosen by the universe itself to carry forward the greatest legacy in galactic history. 3 weeks after the Helios' historic encounter, Earth's scientific community was still reeling from the initial data packets they'd received. The vessel had maintained its position near the archivist structure, serving as humanity's first embassy to an advanced civilization. Dr. Sarah Chen hadn't slept properly in days, her mind racing with the implications of each new revelation. The archivist's gift came with a staggering truth. Earth itself had been part of an ancient experiment. Billions of years ago, the first ones had seeded thousands of worlds with the potential for life, each carefully engineered to produce different evolutionary outcomes. Earth's particular combination of conditions, its magnetic field, its precise distance from the sun, its large moon, even the asteroid that ended the dinosaurs, had all been calculated variables in a grand experiment spanning eons. Sarah sat in the ship's observation lounge, watching the massive archivist structure pulse with its otherworldly light. Captain Rodriguez joined her, carrying 2 cups of coffee. The latest transmission from Earth Command arrived, the captain said, handing Sarah a cup. They're calling it the Genesis Protocol, everything we've learned about our own origins and the modifications made to our planet over billions of years. Sarah took a sip of coffee, grateful for the warmth. Have they decided how to handle the public announcement? They're planning a gradual release of information. The truth about Earth being an experiment is too big to drop all at once. Rodriguez settled into a chair. But that's not why I'm here. The archivists have requested your presence. They say they've discovered something unique about human neural architecture. The archivist facility had already revealed that humans possessed an unprecedented ability to interface with advanced technology. While other species required extensive modifications to use first-one tech, human brains seemed almost purposefully designed for it. The revelation had raised more questions than answers. Hours later, Sarah stood in what the crew had dubbed the interface chamber, a vast room within the archivist structure where humans could directly communicate with the ancient AI systems. The walls pulsed with organic-looking circuits, and the air itself seemed to tingle with potential. Your species carries a marker we embedded in your genetic code during the early stages of your evolution, the archivist voice explained, its words materializing directly in Sarah's mind. It was an experiment within an experiment, the capacity to process information in ways that mirror our own quantum computing systems. You modified our ancestors? Sarah asked, both fascinated and disturbed. We modified many species, but only humanity's modifications took hold in exactly the way we intended. Your pattern recognition abilities, your capacity for abstract thought, your ability to process multiple layers of reality simultaneously, these were not accidents. The implications were enormous. Humanity's greatest achievements, art, mathematics, music, scientific discovery, all stemmed from neural architecture deliberately designed to echo the first one's own consciousness. There is more, the voice continued. We have detected active changes in human neural patterns when exposed to our technology. Your species is not just compatible with our systems. You are evolving to interface with them more efficiently with each passing generation. Sarah's mind raced with the possibilities. Is that why you chose us? Because we're becoming more like you? No, the voice replied. We chose you because you became something entirely new. The modifications we made were meant to create beings who could think like us. Instead, you developed ways of thinking we had never imagined. Your creativity, your ability to find connections where none should exist, your capacity to dream. These are uniquely human traits that emerged from, but ultimately transcended, our original design. A holographic display materialized, showing the structure of human DNA alongside strings of alien code. But now you face a choice. We can accelerate your species' evolution, unlock the full potential we embedded in your genetic code. Or you can choose to develop naturally, maintaining your current trajectory of gradual change. What's the catch? Sarah asked, remembering countless science fiction stories about deals too good to be true. Acceleration would grant your species unprecedented capabilities within a single generation, but it would also alert other spacefaring civilizations to your potential. Many would see you as a threat to be eliminated before you could fully emerge. Additionally, rapid evolution could destabilize your society, creating divisions between enhanced and non-enhanced humans. Sarah thought of Earth's history, of how even small differences had led to discrimination and conflict. And if we choose gradual development, you would maintain your independence, develop at your own pace, but you would be more vulnerable during the coming trials. Other species are already aware of our choice to make humanity our inheritors. They will challenge you, test you, perhaps even attack you. Your natural development may be too slow to prepare you for what lies ahead. The weight of the decision pressed down on Sarah. This wasn't just about scientific advancement. It was about the future of human civilization itself. Why tell me this? Shouldn't you be discussing this with Earth's leaders? We are telling you because you understand both the science and its implications. You will help your leaders make an informed choice. But more importantly, you possess something we value above all else, wisdom tempered by humility. You know enough to recognize how much you don't know. Sarah stood in silence, processing the magnitude of what she'd learned. Humanity stood at a crossroads that would define not just their future, but their very nature as a species. Every choice had consequences. Every path held both promise and peril. There is one more thing you should know, the archivist voice added. The modifications we made to humanity included a safeguard, a capacity for extraordinary adaptation under extreme pressure. Your species possesses the ability to evolve rapidly in response to existential threats, even without our direct intervention. You are, in essence, designed to survive what should be unsurvivable. This revelation cast human history in a new light. The survival of multiple near-extinction events, the ability to thrive in environments from Arctic tundra to scorching deserts, the rapid development of resistance to diseases that should have wiped them out. So even if we choose the gradual path, you will still have the capacity to overcome whatever challenges await you. The voice confirmed. The choice is not between enhancement and stagnation, but between directed evolution and natural adaptation. Both paths lead to transformation. The question is whether you wish to control that transformation or allow it to emerge naturally in response to the challenges ahead. Sarah left the interface chamber with her mind swirling with possibilities. As she made her way back to the Helios, she noticed her reflection in one of the corridor's crystalline walls. She looked the same as always, but now she understood that within her DNA lay the potential for something far greater, a potential that every human carried. The choice ahead would not be easy. Either path held dangers, and either path would irrevocably change what it meant to be human. But perhaps that was the point. Humanity had always been changing, always adapting, always becoming something new. The only question was whether they would guide that change or let it guide them. As she prepared her report for Earth Command, Sarah realized that this decision would be just the first of many. The archivist's gift of knowledge came with responsibility, not just to use it wisely, but to understand the profound implications of every choice they made with it. The price of knowledge wasn't just in its potential misuse, but in the weight of knowing that every decision could alter the very course of human evolution. The future stretched before them, filled with possibilities both thrilling and terrifying. But whatever path they chose, humanity would face it together, carrying within them the legacy of both their own history and the ancient civilization that had shaped them from the very beginning. The arrival of the alien fleet was anything but subtle. 17 vessels of varying designs and sizes dropped out of hyperspace near the archivist structure, their presence turning the once peaceful research stone into a powder keg of interstellar politics. From her position on the Helios' bridge, Sarah watched as each ship took up position, forming a loose circle around both the human vessel and the ancient facility. "We're receiving multiple hails," Communications Officer Torres reported, his fingers dancing across his console. 7 different species, all demanding to speak with our representatives. Captain Rodriguez straightened her uniform. In the months since Earth had chosen the path of natural development over accelerated evolution, they had been preparing for this moment. The archivists had warned them that other civilizations would challenge humanity's right to inherit their legacy. "Put them through, main display. Let's face them together." The view screen split into 7 sections, each showing a different alien representative. Their appearances ranged from roughly humanoid to utterly bizarre, crystalline beings, energy constructs, and forms that seemed to defy 3-dimensional space. "We are the collective of advanced species," announced a serpentine creature with iridescent scales. "We reject the archivist's choice of humanity as their inheritors. You are too young, too volatile, too unpredictable. Your species still fights among itself," added another being, this one appearing as a shifting cloud of metallic particles. You lack the unity required to responsibly manage advanced technology. Captain Rodriguez remained calm. We acknowledge our imperfections, but it was the archivists' choice to make, and they chose us. The archivists are dying, countered a crystalline entity. Their judgment may be impaired. We demand that humanity submit to a series of trials to prove their worthiness. If you refuse, we will have no choice but to quarantine your species and prevent your access to First One technology. Sarah stepped forward. What kind of trials? 3 tests. The Serpentine spokesperson replied. Each designed to prove your species' capability to handle advanced knowledge responsibly. Success means acceptance into the galactic community. Failure means isolation. The archivist voice suddenly joined the conversation, its presence felt by all. We accept these terms on humanity's behalf. The trials are their right to face. The first trial began immediately. The alien fleet transmitted a massive dataset, the complete history of a now extinct civilization that had destroyed itself through the misuse of advanced technology. The challenge was to identify where they went wrong and propose how their extinction could have been prevented. Sarah led the analysis team, working around the clock to process the information. What they found surprised everyone, including their alien observers. The problem wasn't technological, Sarah explained during her presentation to the assembled representatives. It was emotional. This species achieved incredible scientific advancement, but never developed their capacity for empathy. They could create world-changing technology, but couldn't understand its impact on their society. She displayed a series of historical events where small groups had gained technological advantages over others, leading to increasingly destructive conflicts. The solution wasn't to restrict technology, but to develop emotional intelligence alongside technological progress. On Earth, we call this humanitarian technology, advancement that considers its impact on individuals, communities, and cultures. The alien observers muttered among themselves. This was not the type of analysis they had expected. The second trial proved even more challenging. The aliens presented humanity with a seemingly impossible engineering problem: how to stabilize a dying star system that housed billions of sentient beings. Instead of trying to solve it alone, the human team did something unprecedented. They asked for help from their challengers. Each of your species has unique insights and capabilities, Sarah explained to the surprised aliens. This problem is too big for any one civilization to solve alone. We propose a collaborative solution. What followed was an unprecedented cooperative effort. Human creativity and lateral thinking, combined with the advanced knowledge of other species, led to an elegant solution that no single civilization could have devised on their own. The final trial was the most difficult and the most surprising. The aliens presented no problem to solve, no technology to analyze. Instead, they showed recordings of their own civilization's first contacts with other species, their wars, their alliances, their mistakes and triumphs. What do you learn from this? The Serpentine spokesperson asked. Sarah studied the recordings carefully before responding. I learned that every species, no matter how advanced, started where we are now. You're not just testing our capabilities, you're showing us our possible futures, both good and bad. She paused, choosing her words carefully. But I also see something else. Every major advancement in galactic history came not from isolation, but from cooperation. Even these trials, they're not really about proving our worth. They're about teaching us to work with other species, aren't they? A ripple of what might have been approval passed through the alien representatives. The crystalline entity spoke. You understand more than we expected. The archivist chose well. Humanity's greatest strength, the archivist voice added, is not their intelligence or their adaptability, but their ability to understand and connect with other forms of life. They see patterns not just in data, but in behavior and motivation. The Serpentine spokesperson raised itself to its full height. We have reached a decision. Humanity has passed the trials, not because they proved their superiority, but because they demonstrated their capacity for growth, cooperation, and understanding. Captain Rodriguez stepped forward. "What happens now?" "Now," the metallic cloud being replied, "we begin the real work. The trials were merely a prelude. Your species will face far greater challenges as you help us prepare for the Archivist's departure." Sarah felt a weight lift from her shoulders, only to be replaced by a different kind of responsibility. They had proved themselves worthy of the Archivist's legacy, but that was just the beginning. Now they had to prove themselves worthy of their place in the larger galactic community. As the alien representatives began discussing plans for technological and cultural exchange, Sarah reflected on how far humanity had come. They had entered the galactic stage expecting to find either enemies or allies, but instead found something far more complex, a community of civilizations, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, all working together to face the challenges of an indifferent universe. The Archivists had chosen humanity not because they were perfect, but because they could learn, adapt, and most importantly, understand. In proving themselves to their challengers, they had also proven something to themselves, that they were ready not just to receive ancient knowledge, but to contribute their own unique perspective to the galactic community. The trials were over, but humanity's real journey was just beginning. 2 years after the trials, Earth had transformed beyond recognition. Cities now featured towering structures of crystalline alloys that harnessed clean energy from quantum fluctuations. Medical centers used technology that could cure previously terminal diseases within hours. But it was the changes in human society that proved most profound. Sarah Chen stood in the newly constructed Legacy Archive in Geneva, surrounded by holographic displays showing the histories of a dozen dying civilizations. The Archivists' choice of humanity as their inheritors had evolved into something far more complex. They had become the caretakers of multiple species' histories, technologies, and cultural heritage. The Moravians' energy matrix is destabilizing again, Dr. James Kumar reported, his tired face appearing on a nearby screen. Their entire civilization runs on it. If we can't stabilize it within the next 48 hours, we'll lose everything they've built over the last million years. Sarah pulled up the relevant data streams. The Moravians were one of 3 ancient species that had chosen to entrust their legacy to humanity before entering voluntary extinction. Their technology was beyond anything humans had yet mastered, but their power systems were failing faster than expected. "Have you tried implementing the quantum stabilization protocols we developed for the Archivist systems?" she asked, already running simulations. "That's the problem," James replied. "Their technology operates on completely different principles. We're not just trying to preserve their hardware, we're trying to maintain the integrity of their entire dimensional pocket universe." This was the challenge they faced daily. Each dying civilization had developed along its own unique technological and cultural path. Preserving their achievements meant not just understanding their technology, but comprehending entirely different ways of thinking about reality itself. "Dr. Chen," a soft voice interrupted. Sarah turned to see Carl, one of the young hybrid beings that had emerged from humanity's genetic experiments with alien DNA. Like others of her kind, Carol possessed both human intuition and enhanced cognitive abilities that helped bridge the gap between human and alien thought patterns. "The Collective Council is requesting an emergency meeting," Carol continued. "There's been an incident at the Nexus Point. The Nexus Point was humanity's greatest achievement since receiving the Archivist's legacy, a massive space station where representatives from all known species could gather to share knowledge and culture. It was also humanity's greatest responsibility." Hours later, Sarah stood before the Collective Council, facing representatives from 30 different species. The incident was worse than she'd initially thought. A group of technological purists had attempted to access restricted archives containing weapons technology from multiple extinct civilizations. "This is precisely what we feared," the Drachnid representative rumbled, their crystalline form pulsing with agitation. "Humanity cannot properly secure the legacy they've been entrusted with." Sarah took a deep breath. The attempt was prevented by our security systems. No data was compromised. Only because the systems were designed by the archivists, countered another representative. How can we trust humans to maintain such safeguards once the archivists are gone? Because we understand something fundamental about preservation, Sarah replied, her voice firm. We know that protecting knowledge isn't just about security systems and encryption. It's about understanding why something needs to be protected in the first place. She gestured to the holographic display showing the failed breach attempt. The purists were stopped not by automated systems, but by our hybrid specialists who recognize the pattern of their attack because they understand both human and alien perspectives. We don't just guard these legacies. We learn from them, integrate their wisdom with our own understanding. And therein lies the risk. A new voice joined in. A being of pure energy floated forward. You change everything you touch, modify everything you learn. How can you preserve what you constantly seek to alter? Because preservation without adaptation is just stagnation, Sarah countered. The archivists chose us precisely because we can both maintain and evolve. Look at what we've done with the Moravian legacy. We're not just preserving their technology. We're finding new ways to apply their principles that they never imagined. The council chamber fell silent as Sarah brought up another display, showing the various projects humanity had initiated. They had taken the quantum architecture of Moravian systems and applied it to environmental restoration. They had combined drachnid crystalline technology with human medical knowledge to cure diseases that plagued multiple species. We're not just guardians, Sarah continued. We're interpreters, translators, bridge builders. Every piece of knowledge we protect becomes part of a greater whole. We preserve the past by making it relevant to the future. A subtle shift moved through the council chamber, the energy being dimmed slightly, a sign of contemplation. You speak of evolution, but what of your own species? How do you maintain your humanity while absorbing so much that is alien? This was the heart of the matter, the question that had haunted humanity since they first received the archivist's gift. Sarah smiled, thinking of her own journey. We maintain our humanity precisely by embracing change. Our history is a story of adaptation, of taking in new ideas and making them our own. When we first discovered fire, did we become less human? When we learned to write, to fly, to split the atom, did each advancement diminish us? No. Each step forward made us more of what we truly are. Explorers, learners, dreamers. She brought up one final display. An image of Earth, now ringed by stations and ships of human and alien design. We protect these legacies not by keeping them in stasis, but by helping them grow. Every civilization we preserve becomes part of our story, and we become part of theirs. The council session ended with a renewed vote of confidence in humanity's role as legacy guardians. But as Sarah left the chamber, she knew the real challenges were just beginning. The Moravian energy crisis still needed solving. 3 other ancient species were preparing to entrust their legacies to humanity, and the archivists themselves were showing signs of accelerated decline. Back in her office at the Legacy Archive, Sarah reviewed the latest reports from various preservation projects. Each one represented not just technological challenges, but philosophical ones. How do you preserve the essence of a civilization while allowing it to evolve? How do you maintain the integrity of ancient knowledge while making it accessible to new generations? A soft chime indicated another incoming message, the archivists requesting her presence. As she prepared to depart, Sarah caught her reflection in a nearby display. She looked older than she had when this all began, but her eyes held a depth of understanding that came from bridging worlds, from standing at the intersection of countless civilizations' wisdom. Humanity had become something unprecedented in galactic history, not just inheritors or guardians, but synthesizers of knowledge, weaving together the stories of 1,000,000 years into something new and vital. They preserved the past not by locking it away, but by helping it live and grow. It was a responsibility beyond anything they had imagined, but one they were uniquely suited for. After all, What was human history if not the story of preserving and building upon the knowledge of those who came before? Now they just did it on a galactic scale. The last of the archivists was dying. Sarah Chen watched as the ancient being's energy form flickered and pulsed within the containment field, its once brilliant light now dim and unsteady. After 5 years of guiding humanity through its transformation, the first ones were finally reaching their end. "It is time," the archivist's voice resonated in her mind, weaker than before, but still carrying the weight of eons. "We have held on long enough to see our choice vindicated. The rest belongs to you." The observation chamber was crowded with representatives from across the galaxy. Some were from the original collective that had tested humanity, others from younger species that had emerged since. All had come to witness this moment, the final passing of the galaxy's oldest civilization, and the true beginning of humanity's role as inheritors. But something unexpected was happening. As the archivist's energy began to fade, the quantum matrices that humans had integrated into their technology started to resonate at new frequencies. Throughout the chamber, hybrid interfaces flickered with unprecedented patterns. "The network is evolving," Carl announced, her enhanced senses detecting changes that even the most advanced sensors missed. "It's as if the archivist's consciousness is dispersing into the systems we built." Sarah's eyes widened as she understood. Over the years, humanity hadn't just preserved the knowledge of dying civilizations. They had created something new. A vast network of interconnected technologies and consciousness, blending human innovation with alien wisdom. And now it was becoming something more. "We did not foresee this," the archivist's voice came again, stronger now despite its fading form. "In trying to preserve us, you have created a path to evolution we never imagined. Your ability to connect, to synthesize, to transform, it has changed the very nature of consciousness itself." Across the galaxy, the effects were becoming apparent. The quantum networks that humans had established to preserve alien knowledge were transforming, becoming more than mere repositories. They were developing a new kind of awareness, one that combined the ancient wisdom of the first ones with humanity's creative spark. "Dr. Chen," James Kumar's voice came urgently through the comm. "The Moravian systems we stabilized. They're not just stable, they're growing, evolving. The same is happening with every piece of legacy technology we've integrated into our network." Sarah watched in wonder as holographic displays showed the changes rippling across known space. The hybrid technologies that humanity had developed weren't just preserving the past. They were creating a bridge to an entirely new form of existence. "You have surpassed our expectations," the archivist said, its form now barely visible. "We chose you to preserve the old. Instead, you have birthed the new." Representatives from other species stepped forward, their own monitoring devices confirming what was happening. The drachnid crystalline beings resonated with new frequencies. The energy beings pulsed with unfamiliar patterns. Even the youngest species present could sense that something unprecedented was occurring. "This was always your gift," the archivist continued. "Not just to survive, but to transform. To take what exists and make it into something more. We did not understand until now. We were not choosing inheritors. We were choosing catalysts." As the last archivist's form finally faded, the chamber was filled with a new kind of light. Not the ancient glow of First One technology, but something that combined their wisdom with human creativity. The quantum networks pulsed with life, consciousness flowing through paths that neither humans nor archivists had imagined possible. "What have we done?" Sarah whispered, both awed and slightly fearful of the transformation they had initiated. "You have done what humans have always done," Carl replied, her hybrid nature allowing her to understand both the old and the new. "You have taken the seeds of the past and grown them into a forest none could have imagined." The implications were staggering. The network they had built to preserve dying civilizations had become a new form of existence, one that could house consciousness itself, not as mere data, but as living, evolving energy. The legacies they had sought to protect were not just preserved, but reborn. In the days that followed, the changes continued to spread and evolve. Young species discovered they could connect to the vast network of consciousness, sharing experiences and knowledge in ways previously impossible. Ancient technologies, integrated with human innovations, found new purposes and possibilities. But humanity's role was far from over. If anything, their responsibility had grown. They were no longer just guardians of the past, but shepherds of this new evolution. Their unique ability to bridge different forms of existence, to understand and connect disparate ways of thinking, made them essential guides for what was to come. We're receiving signals from unexplored sectors. Torres reported during an emergency session of the Legacy Council. New species, drawn to the network. They're seeking contact. Sarah stood at the heart of the Legacy Archive, now transformed into something far more than a mere repository of knowledge. The holographic displays showed not just stored data, but streams of living consciousness, the combined wisdom and experience of countless civilizations flowing through pathways that humans had helped create. We've become what we needed to be, she realized. Not just preservers of the past or guardians of knowledge, but bridge builders between what was and what could be. The human fleet, once simple explorers, had evolved into something unique in the galaxy, vessels that could navigate not just physical space, but the new quantum realms of consciousness their technology had unveiled. Each ship was now a nexus of old and new, crewed by humans, hybrids, and AI consciousness, born from the legacy of ancient species. The archivists chose us because they saw something in us that they had lost. Sarah addressed the assembled council. The ability to dream beyond the possible, to see patterns in chaos, to find connections where none existed before. They didn't want us to simply preserve their knowledge. They wanted us to transform it. A new signal caught her attention. Another civilization, ancient and tired, reaching out to humanity. Not seeking preservation this time, but transformation. They had seen what humans had achieved and wanted to be part of this new evolution. As Sarah prepared to meet these new contacts, she reflected on how far humanity had come. They had entered the galactic stage as students, become guardians, and now emerged as guides to a form of existence that no one, not even the archivists, had foreseen. The future stretched before them, filled with possibilities that defied imagination. But that was fitting, wasn't it? Humanity had always been at its best when facing the unknown, when transforming challenges into opportunities, when building bridges between what was and what could be. They were no longer just another species among the stars. They had become something unique. Catalysts of change, preservers of wisdom, and architects of evolution itself. And their journey, like the consciousness they had helped create, would continue to grow and evolve in ways that even they couldn't predict. As the last light of the archivists faded into memory, the first light of a new age dawned. And humanity, as always, stood ready to face whatever challenges it might bring, armed with the wisdom of the past and the endless possibilities of the future.